Alright, I figured we'll do a little bit of waiting for the downloads for the Fallout tutorial. Let's check that real quick. How much progress we've got. About 8 gigs through the 39 or 30.9 that we're going to need. So we'll just play a little bit of Roller Coaster Tycoon while we wait. And let's see here. First thing I like to do is pause. And let's see, let's put $10 admission. I'm not going to open the park yet. All right. First thing I like to do is put in some sort of simple ride like a merry-go-round. It's been a while since I played. I can't really remember what my hotkeys are to rotate stuff. Let me take a look real quick here. Now I'm using RCT2, which is a free, a community-based version that incorporates Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. Changes things a little bit. It upgrades everything, in my opinion. Let's see. Where are my options for keyboard? Hotkeys, where are you? Been a long time since I played this. There we go, shortcut keys. And what I'm looking for is rotate construction object, which is Z. Because you're kind of on a time limit when it comes to Roller Coaster Tycoon. So I use the spacebar to pause. I always want to make sure that I have that ability to place my objects as quickly as possible. So let's go ahead and put this guy here. Now, rides are more exciting when they're around theming. And I'm going to want them to exit further up the path to control traffic. So pause. There's a lot of things you can do while you're in the pause screen. I'm going to reduce the number of rotations down to 7. We're going to wait for a 3/4 load. I'm going to leave my min-max here. You don't really need to inspect these rides very often until they get older. This is one of the nice things about RCT2, is the way that you can kind of play with these entrances. But I think I'm going to go with canvas tent in a light, or see what the yellow And maybe dark red motif will look like. That should be pretty cool. We'll have it play music. The admission price on this at first can be about $1.10. And I'm going to name this the carousel. Okay. Now let's get a little padding in here. I think I'm going to go with something that's really going to signify what this ride is. So I'm going to use this kind of simple garden rail here with the yellow. Now you don't want really long queue lines for things like the carousel because the ride time takes a little bit. All right, and we'll bring in the footpath here. And then our exit is going to be, I think, let's go with dirt path of this variety. Let's just see how that looks. Now the important thing to remember too, you want to link these paths. And I think it's a very clever idea to take your theming and you want to do one of these signs. And I'm going to go with a very bright red. And make it, I'll just use this very simple one. And I'm going to place it right here. And now I can make this path so they can't go in this way, and that's going to reduce the confusion that my guests would experience. And the text color can be white, and that will be just fine. And it's going to say no entry, of course. And before I even open the park, there's just a few things that I'm going to make sure are in place. Now the ride is going to be a lot more exciting when you add theming around it. So we're going to put in a couple of gardens along the path. And then we're going to add in a couple of bushes. And this fountain right here will definitely make the guests very happy. Not only the ones that are waiting in the queue, but the ones that are actually riding the ride. And I'm going to go with some of these little small bush here. I'm going to do like this. Okay. And that's going to make all my guests that are in the queue line very happy. Now I can change the color of these, but for now I'm going to leave them kind of a red and yellow, because it's kind of matching my ride. You also want to consider that the gardens have to be able to be reached by your maintenance men. So it may have been a bad choice for me to put this particular garden here. So we'll move this statue. And put him here. And still, my guests will be able to see not only while they're experiencing the ride, but also while they're in the queue and during the exit. And we'll go with a couple more of these little bush pieces here. And every little place that can be hit by my gardeners, I'll add in these simple yellow flowers. And the areas that can't be reached, I'll add in a bush or something of that nature. So let's find what's going to look good and make sense there. I'm thinking maybe some of these types of little small trees that are representative of, you know, one particular part of the park, because I'm kind of already starting to think about, all right, how am I going to theme each section or each area of the park? So let's go with these basic ornamental trees and see how that will work. The only one that I don't like is that one, and I'll put a bush in this spot here. Okay, so we have an attractive garden there, and we're going to increase a little bit more of the value of the ride. So while they wait, they'll have these hedged padding. I'm going to create this barrier here. And we'll do the same thing on the opposite side, except with a fence. Just a very simple fence. Now the trees that were already in place, of course, are adding a little bit of excitement to the ride. And I'm not going to add any gardens on the backside, but I would add bushes or something of that nature. So let's add these little let's just kind of take a look here. There is a command to make the trees and things invisible. I have to kind of remember what my shortcut keys are. So let's see. See through scenery toggle. That would be 4. So, all right, so that kind of gives us a better idea of how we can view our ride without those trees in place. So let's add I don't want to pay a whole lot of money for trees. So I think a very simple fruit bush will be just fine. And you can actually change the color of the fruit on it. Let's try bright. And then let's try pink. And leave that last piece brown. Kind of make my scenery invisible here. Okay, so I've already got a tree in place there. Okay, so this little bit of theming here is not very expensive, and it's adding a whole lot to the excitement of the ride. I like these juniper trees. Because they're simple. Don't take up a whole lot of space. And that's going to make a pretty boring ride now fairly enjoyable. And we're going to add in a little bit more fencing here in the front of the ride. And I think a railing here in the front is going to be necessary. So we'll just use this simple fencing again here. And make sure that we have a gardener, which is a handyman. We'll hire the handyman. Now it's very important when you have handymen to make sure that they're tasked properly. I only want him to sweep footpaths, water gardens, and empty the litter bins. I don't want him mowing any grass. You always want to set your pathing. Handymen cannot really handle any more than 4 very successfully. So this will ensure that he cleans, that all these gardens get watered, and I can go ahead and have him go to the beginning of the park because there's not much here that he's going to have to maintain. So 4 is really the general level of responsibility that they can handle. But if you don't have a lot going on path areas, you can assign them to do a little bit more. As the more and more guests come into the park, I may have to rethink this. Guests may be littering and things in this area, so, but for now, it'll be just fine. All right. And I'm going to name him Handyman Entry. So I have identifiers. I'm also going to hire my first mechanic. And they can do quite a bit. But the thing about a mechanic is he has to be able to enter the ride and exit the ride. So you have to make sure that your footpathing will connect both of those spots. And we're going to hire an entertainer, because if you put an entertainer in the very front of the park, it will not only increase the guests' happiness as they enter the park, but as they leave it. So we'll call him Entry Elephant. And I want him right around where guests are going to enter the park. So all the way up into this area. And now we need to focus on a larger ride. So clearly I like to get a few things in place before I open a park. And let's make sure that our research and everything is in the right spot. It's always very important. I don't need any marketing campaigns as of yet. But I would like to max out my funding on research. What I really need to do is decide, okay, what am I missing that I'm really going to need? Okay, gentle rides, I've got enough of those. The miniature railroad is very expensive, and only a good ride as a transport ride in certain cases and instances of like larger parks, and you want to decrease traffic. So we definitely need coaster research. We definitely need thrill ride research. Definitely need water ride research. So let's prioritize. I'm going to prioritize gentle roller coaster, so maxed on thrill rides, shops and stalls. So I think the first thing that we really want is the water slides. Okay. Let's check on our download. Okay, 19 out of 30. Okay. We're going to definitely need a bathroom and some food and things. We'll do that later, but let's get a coaster in, because it is definitely a, well, it's Roller Coaster Tycoon. Without that, you're not going to have much draw into the park. Now, RCT2, the community-based software, freeware, gives you all kinds of awesome options where you can load in pre-mades that other people have made. Which is awesome. So I'm going with a wooden roller coaster because they're cheap. And I'm going to go with the... See how the wood chip is going to fit in here. It's going to be very nice here. So I'm always trying to keep in mind what my existing scenery and things are, so I can maximize the excitement without having to put in more trees. So I want it kind of to butt against the trees. I want to leave a little area behind the ride that I can pad in, see what kind of land that I can buy. Land purchases, I believe, are here.
Yes, and these are land purchases. So I can buy land out here. So it'll be all right if I really place it against the fence. So there's two types of wood chips here. One that comes with a entrance and exit, and another one that does not. I can put my own in. And I'm going to remove a few of these trees because I really want the roller coaster to really sit against the path as people come in, but I still want to be able to have enough room to put my entry and exit point in. So I'm going to have to get rid of all these trees here. Well, RC2 apparently does that all on its own. Now, the important thing to know about entry and exit points on a roller coaster is you want to put your entrances near the front of the ride so they load quicker, and your exits toward the very back of the ride so they exit quicker. So we're going to do that, and we're going to do that. So we have 3 trains with 5 cars per train. And we're going to wait for any load because we're going to keep it moving. Now this is going to increase stress on the wooden roller coaster. It would need to be inspected more often. So actually let's just go with half load. Now you can min-max your waiting times. It's been such a long time that I've played, I can't recall what would be optimum for this ride. It's really dependent on how fast the ride cycles. Okay, main color scheme. I'm okay with the red. I'm not wild about the black. Let's see what we can do with that. I want to give it a very woodsy kind of feel. So a dark brown. All right. And then we'll change this to gray, black maybe. Something to give the track all right, I like that. And then I do different colors per train. So train 1 will be yellow, train 2 will be red, train 3 will be blue. That works for me. Okay. And I'm going to do plain entrances for this one. Actually, we'll do log cabin entrances for this one. Now we can have it play music, but it would be a little bit annoying. And the admission price for this is going to be based on the excitement. And the only way that we're going to be able to determine that is by running a test. So that's precisely what we're going to do.
you go to test, and now we're going to test it. And that'll give us a little bit of information on how exciting the ride is. Now, as I add theming around it, it's going to get even better. And I think, let's see, with 4 passengers per car and 5 cars per train, with 3 trains, so that's 20 by 3 is 60, so I can get 60 people on the ride at a time. And that's important for how long I want to make my footpath or my queuing path. And I'm going to do queuing path for roller coaster. This particular one, I'm going to do it in red. Actually, I'm going to do it in blue. I think I like blue. And let's just see if that changes it a little bit. All right, we'll do it in blue. Building my queuing path in these curved shapes so I can make sure not only is my queuing path running along the ride to make it exciting, but I'm also going to be able to put theming. So while they wait in line, they're going to be happy. And let's just go ahead and get the park open. Because people will probably pay that $10 entry fee and start to use this roller coaster here. A brand new ride at $1.10, it shouldn't even. We'll just monitor what the guests think. I'm going to have to modify where my exit point is on this ride. Or make my pathing go over top. So let's do that instead. Add a little excitement in. Okay, so this is going to be increasing the excitement of the ride. It's also going to attract the people that are exiting this ride to this new ride. And we will put our exit path here. Now I think I may as well just leave it where it is. That should be fine. I always try and keep in mind what kind of traffic is going to be coalescing around this area. So I don't like my footpaths to get overly congested. And again, we'll put our no exit, or our exit. So what I think I'm going to do here is I'm going to eliminate this specific path for now. And I'm going to move my exit a little bit like this. And then I'll add in some fencing. And then I'll see if I can add in a little more foot pathing, and hopefully it doesn't connect. It might. It does not. And so basically what I've done is I've created an area where the ride exit is going to right near the entrance again, so people will ride the ride over and over again. Also, it gives me a little space to put benches, because some people that ride these types of rides get sick. So let's see what my hotkey is for making my rides invisible. Invisible scenery, see-through rides, 3. It's basically my number. So 3. I think that's going to look very good. And then paths. So I've got one bench here. I don't want my bench on the queuing line. I'm maximizing the amount of benches that can be put down by putting it on the corner. And then we will put our exit to make sure people do not go into the exit path. We'll add a little bit more fencing. And we'll add some attractive fencing. So while they wait in the queue, they have something cool to look at. It does make a difference. Instead of putting nose paths there, we'll put gardens or something in. Or trees, something a little bit more exciting. And by now we should have some test results. Okay, so the excitement rating is 640, so I think we can get every bit of. Let's try 560. Let's try 570 and see how that floats. And we want to make sure that we have our handyman. He can handle the carousel and he can handle this other ride. We need to make sure that he can actually get both to the exit point and to the entry point. Okay, so he's going to be able to go the full length of the concourse. That's where he needs to be. He also needs to be able to enter and exit. I'm going to increase the inspection rate on this to every 10 minutes. To keep it running as best as possible, because it is my primary attraction. And it's ready to open. And let's see if any guests have come. I've just got one so far. And let's see what guests are thinking. No thoughts yet. So, happiness, energy, 60 bucks in the pocket. Want something more thrilling than the carousel? So let's see. The gentle rides clearly are not going to be very thrilling. But let's see. 1.64. So really this could be $1.60. As a general rule of thumb, it can be pretty close to what your excitement rating is what you can charge for the ride when they're brand new. Alright, so we'll put in a bathroom near the exits over here. Going to carry it up a little bit further. Guests can generally see 4 spots around them. So if we look at this guy, for example, they can see in 4 squares around them. I don't charge anything for my restrooms because that's a very dickish thing to do. So this is going to be, I'm going to call it wood chip restroom. Because as the part gets bigger, it's just a lot easier if ahead of time you label things. Alright, and I definitely want to put a kiosk in. I don't have one. So let's check and see if I can research that. So it should be researching right now the water ride. So I can take water ride out, and now my main focus is going to be on shops and stalls because I really want an information kiosk. So once it starts developing, you don't have to apply any more research to it. And we'll put in a little soda stall, because soda stalls help reduce nausea, and they also decrease the thirst of the guests. And since this is a high traffic area, we'll put it right here. Now I want my drinks to be about $2. Same price throughout the park. And we'll call this wood chip drinks. Sometimes I can be a little bit more creative with my naming, but I'm not really super concerned about it right now, seeing as we're just killing time to check on the download. So we're getting very close. Now I want to start to reduce the load on this path here, so I'm gonna start thinking about building park out this way. But the first thing I really want to do is increase the excitement of my roller coaster with some very basic theming. And they really do love these huts and things, and they especially like it when the roller coaster's coming down fast into an area and it looks like they're going to slam into it. So to put it right here along this area, they're really going to enjoy that. So I want something tall enough where they can really see it. And I'll do this theming on this side. And let's look for another position where they think they're going to slam into the coaster. I mean, into the scenery. Right around in this area here. Alright, we can take a loan out. There's plenty of time for that. Let's go ahead and just grab another five grand. Kind of having reservations about putting it in right here. Can probably do better. Having it along the path is a good idea. Alright, that would be pretty enjoyable. No thoughts on the wood chip. Because obviously not a lot of time has passed, because I do pause out to make sure everything's in the right spots. Alright, let me check my download here. Very, very close. So I'm going to end this part of the roller coaster stream, tycoon stream. If you like this type of video, I can do more of them. It's just kind of something to kick around. So the live stream's open so people can ask comments. We can talk about whatever's on your mind. And to be visually entertained at the same time. It's been Hank. Catch you on the flip side.